When I was born, it was on a pirate ship. When I took my first steps, it was on a pirate ship. When I said my first words, you guessed it, I was on a pirate ship. My parents were the greatest pirates who ever sailed the seas. Other pirates cowered whenever they saw the flag of my family, the Shellwalkers, wave up in the air. Growing up, I loved the pirate life, the adrenaline, the fresh ocean breeze. My parents always make sure to take good care of me too. Life was good until it all came crashing down with the force of a tsunami. One night, I was in my room when I heard a loud crash. I ran outside to find colossal waves and a giant storm above us. Mom! Dad! Tina! Quick! Get to the lifeboat! No! I'm not leaving you two! Henry! Take her! We'll be with you soon, honey! Henry, my parents' right-hand man, lifted me up and ran with me to the lifeboat at the side of the ship. We hopped in, but suddenly the rope holding it up snapped, and the boat fell into the water with us in it. Mom! Dad! I screamed at them, but it was too late. A giant wave appeared and capsized the ship, smashing it into pieces. There was no way anyone could survive that. Henry and I tried to stay afloat, but our lifeboat got overturned too, and suddenly I blacked out. What seemed like eons later, I woke up on a desolate island. There was no one there. No one had survived the storm. I was utterly alone. Days, and then weeks passed before I saw any sign of life. I managed to survive off crabs and coconuts. Then finally one day, a ship arrived on the island. A whole crew of men walked off the ship.
Huh! Look at what we have here. Hello, little girl. You got any treasure on you?
Then suddenly one of them gasped.
Wait, that's the Shellwalkers, kid! The Shellwalkers?
Please help! My parents, our ship. I'm the only one who survived the storm. The crew of pirates hesitated. Then their captain stepped forward.
Your parents helped us when we were in need of them most. It's only fair we do the same for you.
The captain took me in and raised me until I was 16 years old, and he passed away from an illness. After him, I became the captain of his crew, and we became known as the new Shellwalkers. After many years of hard work and struggle, I managed to train my crew into becoming the best pirate crew out there. I wanted to make my parents proud.
Captain Shellwalker, there's a ship heading our way.
What?
Starboard side!
All right, crew, you know the drill. Ready the cannons! My crew got into place within a few seconds. I nodded approvingly. The ship approached closer and closer. I grabbed a giant conch shell and shouted into it.
Ahoy there! Who are you? Speak your business!
There was no reply. Then suddenly, a white flag raised.
Help! We're sinking!
It didn't look like their ship was sinking, but I immediately called my crew to stand down. We always helped those in need.
Ready the planks! We need to help these people! But Captain Skywalker, this could be a trap! You heard me! Get to it!
With reluctance, my crew began to ready the planks and lifebuoys. The other ship soon arrived beside us. When they arrived, I saw someone who appeared to be their captain. He leaped across the giant gap between the boats as if it was nothing, then landed with a thud on my ship. He hadn't even asked if he could board yet, but when he looked up at me, I gasped. He was so handsome. I don't think I'd ever seen anyone as handsome as him before. Good day, miss. Where's your captain? I was a little stunned at first, but I gathered myself quickly. I am the captain of this crew, Captain Shellwalker. He looked surprised. Good day, Captain Shellwalker. I'm Captain Redhawk, and I'm taking over this ship. Excuse me? Suddenly, there was a giant roar, and the other crew leaped onto our ship. You liar! Captain Redhawk grinned. Sorry, miss. Nothing personal. I growled as I unsheathed my sword. We began an epic duel, the Shellwalkers against the Redhawks. But the Redhawks had a much bigger crew than ours, and before long, I was the only one left standing. The rest of my crew had been tied up in rope. Redhawk smiled charmingly as he approached me with his sword. Listen, miss. You can call me Captain Shellwalker. Captain Shellwalker, just surrender. You're outnumbered. Never.
Let's kill her, Captain! Yeah, kill her!
Hawk looked a little concerned, but then the look vanished. "Now, men, you know that's not how we roll." His crew grumbled in annoyance. Red Hawk turned to me. "Surrender."
No!
Red Hawk rolled his eyes, then he lunged at me. I expected him to stab me, but instead he brought the butt of his sword around and knocked me out. I saw stars before I collapsed to the ground. When I woke up the next day, I was in a tiny cell. I was still on a ship since I could feel the sway of the ocean below me. Suddenly, the door opened and Red Hawk walked in. "What have you done with my crew?" Red Hawk walked in calmly. "Relax, miss. They're fine. I told you. You can call me Captain Shellwalker. Now where is my crew?" "They're in a separate dungeon downstairs. I gave you this private cell to show you some mercy. I'm being kind."
Kind? Kind! You tricked us!
"That's pirating for you, missy. What are you going to do with us?" "Well, I know the name Shellwalker, you see. I've heard about you before, and so have a lot of people. The king actually has a bounty on you and your crew. So, I'll sell you to the king. It's a very nice reward. Oh, and I'm taking your ship and the rest of your treasure too."
You worthless brat!
Red Hawk winked at me. I couldn't help it. I blushed. "Well, I'll see you tomorrow then, miss. Sleep well." He shut the door, and the room went dark. I sat there, helpless. I had failed my parents, my crew. What could I do now? The next morning, one of Red Hawk's men walked in and woke me up. "Get ready. The captain wants to see you." I yawned and stood up. The man grabbed some rope and tied me up before shoving me ahead. What could Red Hawk want with me? Did he want to brag in my face about the horrors I would soon face? "Here she is, Captain." "Thank you, John." The man left, leaving me alone with Red Hawk in his private office, it seemed. "What do you want?" Red Hawk waved a hand at the table. "I thought you could eat one last nice meal before I send you off to the king." What was this? Did he feel sorry for me? Suddenly, I realized I could play this to my advantage. Now, I had a plan. "Oh, thank you." I sat down at the opposite end of the table. Red Hawk smiled at me. "Dig in." I showed him my tied hands. "I can't really eat." Red Hawk raised his eyebrows. "You really think I'm that stupid? I know you'll jump me the moment I untie you." I shrugged my shoulders. I just wanted to eat. "You can make do." I sighed and began to eat the bread. It was delicious. Was Red Hawk really just being kind? I looked up. "Listen, Red Hawk, what's your deal?" "My deal? How did you end up captain of a pirate ship? You're handsome. You seem young. Why are you here?" "I could say the same thing about you. You're beautiful. You're young. Why are you a captain?" I hesitated. I was supposed to seduce him, not the other way around. I took a deep breath. "I asked you first." "My parents." Red Hawk stood up, then walked over to the window and looked out. Slowly, I stood up and approached him. They passed away when I was very young. I stood closer to him. I could see the golden ends of his hair. Me too. "Really?" "Yeah. I got stranded on an island before this crew picked me up." "Wow, that's pretty similar, you know." I nodded. I stepped even closer. I wasn't kidding, you know. "What?" "When I said you were handsome, really, you're the most handsome guy I've ever seen." Red Hawk looked at me, his eyes round and full of emotion, and that's when I struck. I smacked him on the temple and his knees crumbled beneath him. I checked to make sure he was truly passed out, and luckily he was. Then I grabbed a knife from the table and cut through my hand ties. Before long, I was free. Time to get my crew back. I rummaged through Red Hawk's pockets and found the key to the dungeons. I ran down into the dungeons below deck. "Captain Shellwalker!" "Shh! Don't let them hear you!" I unlocked my crew cells and we readied ourselves for battle.
Let's get our ship back!
My crew roared in excitement. We charged above deck and faced the Red Hawk's unknowing crew.
I'm the new captain of this ship! Surrender or face the consequences!
The other crew panicked as they faced my group of warriors. Suddenly, one of them grabbed a stick of dynamite.
Wait, no!
Too late. The idiot threw the dynamite and a giant hole exploded in the ship, narrowly missing my feet. Suddenly, water poured in from below, and the ship groaned as it began to sink.
Quick! To the other ship!
Behind this ship, My own ship had been towed by rope and was unaffected by the dynamite. Everyone scrambled for the other ship. All thoughts of attacking each other went out the window. Pretty soon, all of us were on my ship. No more fighting! We must work together now. It seemed Red Hawk's crew would comply. But suddenly, I noticed someone was missing.
Your captain! He's still on the sinking ship! He's in his private office!
None of his crew moved a muscle.
You're gonna abandon him?
All they did was look at me. I groaned.
Don't save him, Captain. He's not worth it. Yeah, he tricked us. He was gonna turn us into the king.
I knew they were right, but there was something about him. I couldn't let him die. I leaped across the ships and into the sinking one. Water gathered at my feet, and when I opened the door to Red Hawk's private office, water flooded everywhere.
Red Hawk! Where are you?
I waded through until I found him floating by. I scrambled over and checked his breathing. Thankfully, he was still alive. I gave him a quick slap on the cheek and he woke up with a jolt.
What?
Where am I? The ship's sinking.
Hurry! I can't carry you!
Red Hawk nodded, and together we waded out of the office and back to the deck. We clambered onto my own ship and collapsed on top of each other. I quickly removed myself from him and stood up. Red Hawk slowly looked at me. You saved my life. Why? My face reddened. I wish I wasn't so nervous around him, but I couldn't help it. I think I had a crush on him. I did what any good pirate would do. Red Hawk stepped closer. I'm so sorry I tricked you. It's okay. I understand. Red Hawk grinned his charming grin and leaned in. Suddenly, we kissed. I didn't know what to do, what to think, but I didn't push him away. Then, someone yanked Red Hawk away from me.
What are you doing, Captain? What are you on about? She's the enemy!
No, she's not. One of my men pulled me away too.
Captain Shellwalker, don't! You can't tell me what to do, boy. He just tricked us. He's a pirate. It's what pirates do.
Red Hawk pushed his guy away and rushed towards me, holding my hands. We should join crews. We should.
What? No! No! We should kill them. Don't join forces!
The crews shouted and hollered at us. Red Hawk and I looked at each other with concern. Suddenly, one of the members from Red Hawk's side shouted,
These captains are intolerable. I say we throw them overboard.
John, how could you?
You know what? The man's right. We should throw them both over.
Lucas, you raised me. How could you betray me?
It's what pirates do, isn't it?
He said mockingly. Red Hawk and I made eye contact. Things weren't going well. The betraying crew members slowly approached us, cornering us against the edge of the ship. We had nowhere to run to, nowhere to go. This was it. Then, suddenly out of the blue, another ship banged into the side of my ship. Red Hawk and I were thrown to the floor. So were the other crew members. I looked up with a gasp when I spotted who was on board the other ship.
Tina, climb on board! Henry? Hurry!
I didn't even think. I grabbed Red Hawk's hand and we jumped into Henry's ship. His crew heaved at the sails and within a few seconds we were speeding away from our old cruise. They screamed and shouted curses at us, but we were too fast and soon left them behind as a tiny dot on the horizon.
Henry, you're alive!
I am. A rescue boat found me after the storm. Your parents didn't make it though, but thank the heavens you survived. I've heard of you. The legendary Captain Shellwalker. I've been looking for you for years. Your parents would be so proud of the woman you've become. I grinned as Red Hawk and I held hands. Henry raised his eyebrows. Now, who's this? I smiled. It's a long story. A long story. A long...